Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I actually had something different for today planned. I was going to show you some new growth that I was excited about, but just kind of looking at our schedule for the rest of December, I feel like it's too many good things, too much good. I need to show you some of the bad too. So I switched it up. I'll move that into January, but today I'm going to show you 5 plants that are growing miserably, horribly, terribly, atrociously. I mean, I have a lot of those. Just looking around, I can probably pull like another 10 more. But these ones, they're extra special. I think I'm gonna do it in the order from like the worst to the most worstest. Okay, so the first one on my list is a philodendron burle Marx fantasy. Let me show you a photo of when this plant, I guess, was at its best. It was climbing, it was sizing up, it was just looking like a fantasy. But this plant has been nothing but a nightmare since I got it off the pole, and I got it off the, or it was like on a piece of cork wood, and I got it off of it because one, it outgrew it, and I tried putting it on, I think it was a lazy pole, and hated it, just really hated it. And I feel like because I'm not giving it like terrarium conditions, I am not keeping the pole as wet as it should be all the time. It just dries out, it just grows really like leggy, and it's just awful. So I still have this plant because I enjoy it a lot, and I wish that they were easier to grow for me, because when they get big, like big, they are beautiful. They look so different. The leaves are just delicious. The venation is so beautiful. The just the leaf shape is beautiful. Like everything about it is just delicious. It is a fantasy for sure. I feel like it does take quite a bit of work to get to that size. Here's where I am now with this plant. No roasting allowed, please. It's not looking great. She's not looking her best. Yeah, I feel like I tried getting it on something worthwhile and I even, look how big this pole is, man. I had some big dreams, big ambitions, and just never panned out. It looks terrible. It looks so awful. So I don't know what the plan is for this. I might chop it. I don't know. I think I might chop it again because for a plant like this, I don't like, see how like long and leggy it is? I guess what I could do is like wrap it around and then go back up. Actually, that's probably what I'll do. I'll like remove this strap and then I'll wrap it around this pole. Whoa, wrap it around the pole and then loop it back up like this, so that the top leaf is back down at the bottom, and then I can start over again. It's just weird how, like, you know, we go through phases in this hobby where it's like I'll just be putting all my energy into this one plant, and I'm so like invested in like how large it's getting and how beautiful it's growing, and then one day it's just, I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever, let's just let it do whatever it wants. And there was a certain point where I was babying this plant a lot, like a lot, and it was just, it was getting all of my attention, and it definitely was rewarding me when I was, but the second I neglected it, it was like, well, now I'm gonna look like a weed that grows in between the concrete of your driveway. This one needs help. I think I'll probably give it some attention after the new year. I'm not really too pressed trying to like get it to look magnificent anytime soon, because I know it's just going to keep growing and it's not going to die, because it never dies. I feel like if there's one thing I can say about the burle Marx fantasy is that it's fucking resilient, like refuses to die even with no roots, can somehow not turn into a crisp even after not having water for years and years. I just don't know how I have neglected that plant historically even worse than I have now, and it just refuses to die. And it's fine because I don't want it to die. I actually really like the plant. I'm just, yeah, I guess I'm just not as attentive to it as I used to be, but I bet you the second I see a leaf that looks like it can turn into something beautiful, I'll be like reinvigorated to like try again. So maybe that's a project for 2023, but I'm not gonna put it out there as like, oh, I'm gonna glow it up this year, because the last time I did that, I jinxed it and more than half of them died. So such is life. Okay, next one on this list. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell who's uglier. The next one is a philodendron holtonianum. I actually got my first one for my birthday last year, or was it last year or the year before that, from Alice, and I killed it. It just did not like me. She took a cutting from it, and hers is growing so humongous. Hers is growing so huge, it's massive. So she had to give it a chop. She's like, try again, you're gonna be fine. It's probably just a dud the first time. So she gave me a second cutting, and I'm just not good at growing it. This is what it's supposed to look like. And I remember I first saw this plant on an import list, and before, when I had a lot more time, I literally used to Google every single plant on those import lists. It was like hundreds and hundreds of plants, and I came across the philodendron holtonianum, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this plant. You guys know that I love longleaf plants. You guys know that I love plants with like the ears and the lobes, and this one was just so unique and just so different from any other plant that I had owned previously. And I was like, oh, I need this plant. And you know, I said it in passing once, and then of course Alice went and got it for me. But mine looks like this. This was the original cutting that she gave me. It was obviously a butt cut or like a mid cut, and it had the little ears and the long leaf, and it's so cute. And then this was the first leaf to grow in my care, and then this one, and it got thrips really bad, and it probably still has thrips. And then it pushed out this one. It just looks like grass. I don't know. Maybe it needs a pole. I just feel really silly about putting such teeny tiny plants on poles, but I know that it makes a difference. I feel like I've accepted defeat with this plant. Like, I just feel like I'm so bad at growing it that I shouldn't even try. But at the same time, it's like, why am I even bothering to keep it in my collection if I'm not going to give it, you know, the attention and love it deserves? Because I do like this plant. I'm just telling you, when I have plants that get stuck in these like really awkward phases, I just lose a little bit of hope and patience. I know it's a toxic trait, but I know it'll be worth it. I know it. I just know it. I'm not quite sure what to make of this, to be honest. The next third ugly guy is one of my philodendron tenues. So I would have shown this plant last, like really highlighted it on this channel on my 6 plants that I'd like to glow up video, and that's the video I was referring to when I jinxed myself. I am never ever gonna make another video like that ever again. But I featured 2 of my tenues. One is the original one that I got from who knows where. I don't remember where I would have gotten it. The second one is the one that I got from Alice. And the reason we gave each other cuttings is because ours were slightly different, and we just kind of wanted to see what the differences were between them as they grew more. But unfortunately, my original tenue has just been such a biatch to grow. I do think that it's a mixture of neglect and also probably not having proper fertilization. Some of my plants do totally fine with the diluted fertilizing every week. They do not mind at all. My tortum gets diluted feedings every week. My Florida Beauty, my Frydek. Who else is a really big one for me? My Glorious. My Pertusa, my Serpens, all of my Hoyas. Like, there are so many plants that I have in my collection that are just completely fine with my fertilizing regimen, but I feel like there are some that require more, and they definitely show it. But I'm just having a little bit of, I'm having a hard time with one of my tenues, and I just refuse to give up on it. So this is her. You can see she's just got like the weirdest little tiny mutated leaves. Like, look at this little tiny one. What even was the point of pushing that one out, guy? You've got leaves like this that are just like really like warped and mangled. I do feel like a little bit more CalMag might be beneficial for this plant. I just get really lazy to make like individual batches of fertilizer to give certain plants. It's like, I don't know, it takes up so much time, but I know that a plant like this would definitely benefit from it. I mean, it's growing, and this leaf is definitely bigger than a lot of these down here, and it does have a pole. It needs to be sort of fixed and filled in more, but you can see I've like attempted to try, I guess, but just not tried hard enough. I did recently, I don't know which video is going to go up first, but I showed my other tenue on camera recently. So here is another one of them that was looking a bit like this. Well, not as bad, I don't think, in my glow up video, but you can see how much of a difference one is growing in comparison to another. The main difference between these plants is that one has like a reddish color to the petioles and to even the stem, and then this one is all green. So this one has the reddish color, this is green. They're both in no drainage. I basically gave them like the same sort of situation here with the lazy pole, the vessel. They're both basically getting the same fertilization. I think if anything, I have recently given this one more CalMag just because it's been growing so well. So I guess it's not really fair to say this one is a dud if I'm not trying as hard, but all that to say, it looks like a mutant guy and is not very cute. But I oddly have a lot of faith in him, and I feel like he has potential to get nicer because look at this photo here. This was from, I can't remember when it was, obviously I'll throw up the date too, but there was a point in time where it was kind of growing really cute, and then I don't know if I would have changed the environmental conditions or changed the fertilization regimen. I really don't know. Like, it's kind of hard to keep track of things once you're doing this for like, you know, years and years and you have as many plants as we do. Things went downhill for sure for this plant, but at a certain point it was so round and really ribby and it was adorable. Hopefully we can like get her out of this weird phase she's in right now, and I just know I can do it. I know I can do it. It's just a matter of putting in the energy and the effort. The next one is a philodendron pastazanum. I don't have any photos of this plant specifically because this was an acquisition from Erin, and it was pretty large when I got it. It was like a big 5-leaf plant. All the leaves were probably like this big, but it did have adult thrips and larvae, and so it just had a rough go as soon as it came here. I did like the isolation for a good amount of time, weekly treatments, weekly baths, and it never went away. I think there were too many crevices for it to hide. The leaves were just so big that whatever like larvae was embedded in there, it was just inevitable that it was going to come out. And I've stopped using the systemic granules because there was like a study that showed that there was like an influx of spider mites with the use of that systemic, so I've stopped using it for thrifts. But sorry, it's fudge. All that to say, this is what that pastazanum looks like now. She is but a stump. She's a little tiny stump, but well, not tiny. That's quite a big stump, and actually the stump goes probably all the way down to there, so it's really, really large. But I don't want to propagate this into separate nodes. So what I've done instead is did a little bit of notching. I don't think I've ever shown how I notch on this channel before, and I probably should have recorded it, but what I do essentially is take a very, very sterile and clean X-Acto knife, and I just chop like right near the axillary buds. You can see right there, I just make incisions that are maybe like an inch deep, and I do it at an angle. and then I immediately put in some kind of like plastic thing into it, and you can see I've just used like the lazy pole straps, and I've also added some cakey paste onto each of those auxiliary buds that I'm trying to activate. If you don't know what cakey paste is, it's just like a orchid cloning paste, and I don't really talk about that on my channel. It's not something that I'm like actively using, but when I am trying to activate auxiliary buds like on like my Dracaena, marginata, and more of like tree-like plants, I'll often just add cakey paste for the hell of it. So I've done that for this one. I'm trying to activate 5 nodes on here right now, because I would love if this thing could grow like bushier rather than just have one tall one, you know, and just have smaller growth coming out of it. So we'll see what happens. This is more of an experiment right now. I doubt that I'll be able to get all of these auxiliary buds to activate. I would be happy if I could even get 2 of them to activate. But this is where we are right now, and of course I'm kind of sad to see those big leaves go, but at the same time it's like, again, I'm just at a point right now where I would much rather have an easier time managing the pests in my collection rather than try and salvage like big huge leaves that I can just try and grow back later. Hopefully I've got a good update for you guys in a couple months. And for the last one, what can be uglier than a stump, you say, or you think? Well, feast your eyes on this, pals. I've been trying to find the right words. This is my philodendron quillelii round. Now, here's the situation we've got. We've got 4 leaves that refuse to die off for whatever reason, and we just have a stem, just a long stem. We do have a leaf coming out, but I'm not going to give that any attention because that's what has happened with this plant over the last how many other times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other times. But then it just ends up melting and turning into mush. The roots look meh, they look so-so. I probably could get it out of here or just chop and start over. But this has to be probably the most ridiculous looking plant in my collection right now. I don't know what else to say. There was a point where it was growing pretty okay. I never really got any humongous leaves on it, not like the ones that were on it originally when I first acquired this plant from a friend. But I don't know what it wants. I've tried growing this in the tent. I've tried growing it in this exo, and now it's just in my open exo, and it's still not really liking it. So if anyone is growing a philodendron quillelii round indoors, please feel free to chime in the comments. I will probably repot this out of here because I'm sure there are a lot of dead roots in here from the import, and I really should have taken this to my grave, but here I am exposing myself on the internet. But if this leaf actually does make it and stay alive, this plant's gonna look ridiculous. It's gonna have 4 leaves down here, big old stem, and then 1 single leaf at the top. Anyway, I don't really know what the plan is for this, to be honest. I probably should just chop off this long stem and propagate it and then let whatever grow from down here. And maybe even bring it to my mom, because my mom is just better at growing plants than I am. And I guess I've just been so hopeful that with every new leaf that comes out, I'm like, it's gonna be different this time. It's gonna fully form. It's not gonna melt. And then it melts, and then we get on to the next one and the next one. Like, you can see how many times I've been so hopeful that something different will happen, but it's the same freaking, what's that saying? The same old song. Same old song. I don't know if that's the right saying, but yeah, little dum-dum. So that's it. That's 5 ugly plants. Honestly, we could be here all night if you allowed me to. I've got plenty of others to show you. I have some that are like really nasty looking, but I felt like those were ones that definitely I could mention and roast myself publicly. But yeah, just a reminder that I've got lots of ugly plants. I just don't show them all the time. I am still always learning and figuring out what the hell some of these plants want. Sometimes I figure it out, sometimes I don't. And that's just the way it goes. That's it for today. It was a really short one. Just kind of wanted to get that out in the world, get it off my chest. I feel like I'm not hiding anything anymore. So if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it helps us a lot on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for being here and watching another video, no matter what the length. And I will see you the next time. I will see you in the next one.